Hello. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. We'll continue looking into the project manager responsibility. So in this case, there's responsibility to the senior management. Project manager must keep senior management up to date on the state of the project, because it's very important to make sure the project progress is according to what has been planned. So a senior manager means that your boss or the president of the company who assign you with the project. So the project is not only you need to make sure it is completed, but you have to report to the senior manager regarding what's happening to the project. So it's very important for particularly it's important to keep management informed of any problems occur. So usually you don't let the boss be surprised suddenly when things gone wrong, and it's been for a while the problem could not be resolved. Then suddenly you inform the senior management saying that this problem due to some of the issues that has occurred for many months before, but you fail to inform the senior management in order to resolve it. So usually that cases you will make the top management or the senior management angry, and you might get fired. You also need to have the responsibility to the client, which you will make sure that the client satisfied with the project that you are going to implement. So usually clients often want changes to project because suddenly, for example, he requested to build a car, right? A type of car, a new model of car. Suddenly they have at the first they have informed the specification of the product of a car to be produced by your company, and you as a project manager has already taken all the required description and the scope. But sometimes they also will do some changes due to some issues, the finance issues. So they may want to change some of the specifications, some of the scope of the product in terms of cost, and they might want to extend the product to be completed, or they might want it to be completed earlier. So these are the things that need to be solved or to be discussed with the client. So you have to keep informed to the client, and keep asking the client what are they happy with the product that you're going to produce, or if there's any changes that they would like for the product before you can finally finalize the product. So these are the responsibility of the project manager, to communicate with the senior management, and also to the client, to make sure that the project can be completed successfully, which satisfy the stakeholders or the senior management, and also to the client. And of course, the project manager has the responsibility to the project team, which are the people who work to make sure the project is successful. So he or she need to facilitate the work for the team members if they face some issue in conducting or implement the task that's been given to them. So you might, help them or advise them or counsel them, and of course some issues, individual personal issues, you need to attend to make sure that it will not affect his or her work in order to complete the project. So basically, project manager, they responsible to all the peoples which involve, which will benefit from the project itself. And it is also important for project managers to acquiring the resources, identify the resources, uh, type of people, type of knowledge, or type of facilities, technologies that is required for the project. And of course, it needs to have fighting fires or crises and solve some of the obstacles occur for the project. So you need to, there will be problem whenever you run a project. There will be some problem. For example, if you organize an event, some of the guests suddenly who said they want to come to the event, they don't want to come to the event, then suddenly last minute they say they want to come to the event, so you have to arrange the guests to come to the event. And if you work to produce, if you work as a car producer, some of the materials cannot be sent earlier based on the schedule. So these are some of the obstacles that you have to engage and to solve. And also, as a leader, you have to make some trade-off, right? So your client would like to have low cost product, so you need to change, manage some of the also need to modify some of the design. And also, if your client would like to have the product ready earlier than the schedule, so you have to do the rescheduling the process and so on. So that's why it's very important to finalize the scope, but at the same time you should be flexible, be ready whenever the scope change or required by the client based on their requirement, because things happen whenever you have finalized all the scope, all the description of the project. Suddenly there will be some changes of it, so you need to be flexible and you need to make some trade-off during the project execution. So skills of negotiation, conflict resolution, and persuasion is very, very important for you to have if you want to become a project manager, because you are dealing with your human. I think most of the time, I think 99.9% that you are dealing with the human. So you need to know how to handle human. You need to understand them in order so that the process of the execution of the project can be implemented successfully. So, as I said, the skill of persuasion, to persuade some of the people to work towards the project completion, is very very important. So there are lots of attitudes. As a project manager, you can be very strict, you can be very flexible, so you have to have some balance on how you're going to or instruct, or making sure that all team members can work effectively in team. So you don't just suddenly get angry, scolded your team members, suddenly they left, then you need to find other people to replace. So these are the things that you have to think, to figure out, or to have some balance, whether when you want to be strict enough, whether you can fire the members of the project team and so on, because it will affect the project execution. Project execution in order for you to fulfill the scope and the requirement. So there are lots of strategies for dealing with conflict. Either you can be assertive in nature, very strict, or unassertive, doesn't mean very comfortable, or you can be uncooperative or cooperative in some sense, like you are supporting this. It can be so that can be avoiding, you avoid any issues within the problem, or you can compromise. For example, if you have a workers, they say they have a family issue that they would like to have more leave, right? They would like to take holiday. So you will allow that to happen, or you won't allow. So you will say no way, you have to work within this time period. There will be no holiday for you, no extension of leave. So it is regarding on how you can handle that situation. You can be accommodative, you can be non-accommodative. So there are lots of things. It's like some sorts of balance on how you're going to deal with the people. At the end of the day, it is very important for you to make sure the project can be implemented. And if some of the things does not goes well due to lack of human skill and so on, so you have to find ways to resolve the problem, so that whatever it is, you want to make sure the project can be completed accordingly. So when you deal with human, there are many ways to deal with people. So we have talked about the team members on how you can deal with them. Another topic of this project management, or as a project manager, is very important to structure on how you're going to have the team works, right? So it is called an organizational structure. So it's very important to fitting project into the parent organization. So you have a big company, so the company wish you to head a project. So as a project manager, you have rarely have any influence over the interface between the project and the parent organization. So this is a matter of company policy. So as such, it is decided by the senior management. However, it has a major impact on the project manager. So as a company, you have the president, you have the accounting manager, marketing manager. So these are the parent company's structure. So you basically involved in one of the project requested by this company to embark on. So the relationship between your project and the parent company is depending on the company's policy, right? Whether you can work or you can communicate directly to the president, or you need to communicate through all these the sub of the company, the HR manager, operation manager, marketing manager, or the accounting manager. So the way you communicate, the way you work with the parent company is depending on the company policy. Whether you can have your own HR management or HR decision is really up to you, or basically based on the policy that's been put out by the company. So there are three key elements for the organizational structure. Number one is how you're going to designate the formal reporting relationship. So who has the right and who have the direct link, which in terms of communication, how many numbers of levels of hierarchy that you need to implement, and how you're going to control some of the team members or the sub team members. So it's very important for you to identify based on groupings, based on individuals, and also based on the department or the project structure. So it's very important also, or one of the three key element of organization structure is in terms of the design of the system for effective communication, and how to coordinate, and also how can you integrate across different department. So basically there are few forms of organization structure which will be explained here. Number one is the pure project organization structure, where group of people into project teams on a temporary assignments. So they have their own task within that organization, but they are also assigned for that particular project, which is in terms of temporary assignment. Another one is the functional organization, where a group of people perform similar activities into a department. And you also have this matrix organization, which create a dual hierarchy in which functions and project have equal prominence. So this example of pure project organization, where you can see a group of people into project team on temporary assignment. So you have a program manager, and here you have project A and project B. So they involve people from the marketing, manufacturing, R&D, finance, and personnel. So there will be lots of people involved, different people involved in this way, right? So everybody is dedicated to a project manager of project A, and they have all the people from marketing, individual people from marketing, manufacturing, R&D, and so on. So the advantage of pure project organization, that it is effective and efficient, especially for the large project, because you need to be focused on the implement of the project. Resources available as needed, and also a broad range of specialists, where you have lots of people in marketing, manufacturing, R&D, finance, personnel. So you have all the necessary team specialized to perform the task. And you have short lines of communication, where the project manager can directly communicate with the marketing people, manufacturing. So they act like just one team, where you can have direct communication among them. But the drawback of this pure project organization is expensive for small project, because you need more human resources, and is not economically viable. And of course, a specialist may have limited technological depth. So some of them may not have the expertise on particular knowledge depth in that particular project. And it may require high level of duplication for certain specialties. So in this case, you have two projects where you have marketing, two people of marketing, two personnel, two finance. So it's like a duplication expertise that is required, so it become a redundant. So that's the drawback of pure project organization. For a functional project organization, as depicted in this figure, so you have a president, the top entity in this organization. You have under the president, you have manufacturing, you have marketing, you have R&D department, you have human resource, and you have finance. So a functional project organization structure consists of project team members allocated from different functional units and organization. So you have a project where you taken people from the marketing and from R&D, from human resource department, and finance. So all the members are shared. It's not dedicated as this pure project organization, where you have each one people with each specialization for this particular project. For functional project, the team members are allocated from different functional units of organization. So it's like you borrow people from marketing, R&D to implement the project. And of course, the advantages of it, you has immediate and direct complete contact with the most important technology it may need, because if you look here, you have people which has the depth knowledge or breadth of the knowledge from the R&D department, right? You're not taken from somewhere else, so you borrow the people from the R&D department which has thorough knowledge on that particular project. But the drawback of this is line of communication is outside functional department slow. The technology breadth and project rarely given high priority, because the team members of the project is taken from the marketing department, R&D department, so they have their own task within that department. So the project, the person is not dedicated for the particular project, but they are also have their own task within that department. So that's the reason why the project sometimes can have delay due to the priority of the nature of the work of this structure. Next one is the matrix project organization. Where you have the president, you have program manager, manufacturing, marketing, finance, and personnel. So you have multiple project 1, project 2, and project 3. So you will have 3 people from manufacturing for project management 1. So you have 3 people from manufacturing, you can have 1.5, and also the finance, half of it. R&D you will have 4. The personnel you can have half of the department. So it is taken from various department as like a functional project organization, but here they have dedicated team members, but specifically from the different department. So in terms of matrix project organization, the communication is quite havoc, because you have the functioning manager, you have the project team, the project manager, and also the executive. So they are based on sharing purposes, right? So the advantages of matrix project is the flexibility in way it can interface with parent organization. So it has a direct communication with the department, so any decision can be made within the department, and is a strong focus on the project itself. Contact with functional groups minimizes project crises, and ability to manage fundamental threats of across several projects. So you have several projects, so it's easy for the department to get involved with all 3 projects. And of course, for the disadvantages, the violation of the unity of the command principle. So in terms of communication or instruction wise, so it's quite it's a bit of havoc on who can make the decision. For example, if the project management one request team members here to perform some of the task, it will need permission by the head of this manufacturing department to release the team members to work on this particular project. So it might have some conflict between what manufacturing department is doing, and also what the project management is trying to achieve. So it's quite complicated in terms of line of command or instruction to be implemented in this kind of organization. There are also a mixed organization system, where you have the president, you have the finance, engineering department, and you have specific project management, particularly for the project like project M, project Z, and manufacturing. So they are dedicated organization which specifically or split with the other department. Another way of solving some of the problems of choosing an organization form for projects, like the pure organization, matrix, right? A functional, you have a pure, you have functional project organization, you have matrix, and you have a mixed organization. Some of the company, they might use this project management office. So this is another way of solving some of the problem of choosing which organization to form the projects, right? So parent organization can set up a project management office, or they call it PMO, like a functioning group, which it handle the whole thing, the budgeting, the scheduling, the reporting, scope, compliance with corporate government and risk management activities, all in this one office or PMO. So the functional units supply the technical work for this PMO. So basically the PMO often serve as a repository for project documents and history. So it become an office to record or to keep all the documents regarding any kind of activities or any project within that company. So this is how the PMO works. So you have a company which is the CEO, and you have the functional department with the staff. So by having one project management office, and you have a project manager, so within that you will work along with other functional department in order to make sure the project can be implemented. So you have the project coordination between the PMO hold all the project manager, and this project manager involved with the staff with different department. It's quite similarly with matrix project advantages, a matrix project organization, but in this case they are the PMO or project management office will handle such a huge number of projects in that organization. So we have talked about the project manager, we talk about the organization structure to implement the project. Now we look into how we can develop team members for the project organization. So the team, number one, you have to make sure that they have sound technical competence, and the senior members of the project team must be politically sensitive. They know what's going on within the political environment or the situation of that particular scenario. And the members of the project team need a strong problem orientation. They should have some sort of problem solve knowledge, and team members need a very strong goal orientation. They work very hard, they are very dedicated, and they must also have a high self-esteem in order to make sure that they can complete the task within the project. So there are Tuckman ladder model which describe the process of different stages of team development. So once you have selected the team members, so they are very important for you to develop their bond before the project can be started. So based on team development faced by Tuckman ladder, so there are a number of phase to develop the team members. Number one is forming, which team members come together for the first time, get to know each other, in terms of their roles and responsibilities. After that, you can have the storming phase, where work on the initially the team members tend to work independently, which often leads to conflict. So it's very important for you to storm everyone, to give a brainstorming on what the project is all about. The phase number 3 will be the norming. So in this phase, the team members starting to begin to establish team norms, which they have understanding on the team members capabilities, so they can work cohesively, works together in making sure they can fulfill the project to fulfill the project goals. The next phase will be the performing to team members. They will to perform the task of implementing the project, and then once the project completed, then you will have the phase of adjourning. That means this you can return to the functional departments, because before that the team members could have been taken from other departments, so they work with us for that particular project, for the temporary project. So once a project completed, so you need to adjourn or to stop it and release the staff back to their departments. So these are the more details on the forming stage by the Tuckman ladder that you can look into. Start by they know each other, they try to understand and discuss about things, and also the storming stage, where they start to understand each others. They might find it's also get friendly with each other. So these are some of the details of the Tuckman ladder, which I will not explain in details, so you can read it by yourself. So basically, in summary, the forming phase, where the team acquaints and establish ground rules, formalities, they get to know each other, and the storming, where members starts to communicate their feelings, they start to know each others, so they resist, some might have some issues to work together, so it's like getting to know each other. But norming, then they start to understand each other, they start to realize the importance of this project, so they might after that allows them to work together. And then performing, where the team start to perform the or execute the project, so they will work together based on the understanding and agree on this particular activity. Once it's completed, then you need to adjourn the team, so they will go back to work as where they come from the department that you are borrow for this specific project. So of course there are some of the matrix team problem. There are there's no one way to say which one the best organization or management is perfect for one particular project. So you need to based on the experience that you think is suitable to set up the team. So there are of course the matrix team problem, where you have as mentioned here, the smaller the project, the more likely it is to be organized as a weak functioning matrix. You might find some of the team members don't work together. As a result, for matrix team problem, the project manager may have no direct reports to the senior management, and the ability to communicate directly with team members will be critical, and so on. So these are some of the matrix team problem which you will face if you choose the matrix organization. So with that, thank you very much. So hope to see you in the next lecture.